Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Josh Thomas here talking to you tonight about the last regular season game of the year. We've got the 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks, the banged up Seattle Seahawks. So there's some interesting storylines tonight. I'm pretty excited about this game. I think there's definitely an edge here to be had. And overall, I think it's going to be a good game. We're playing for the number one seed in the NFC. So I'm interested to see how Seattle looks. I think I don't know. We'll see. I'm interested to see kind of how Seattle looks if my Vikings get to play them. Looking like we're going to have to play the on fire New Orleans Saints, but we'll see here. But yeah, so we got a big showdown tonight, last one of the year. Just so you guys know, we will be covering showdowns all the way through playoffs. Things will look a little bit different next week with just looking at the game schedule with the wild card weekend. We should have at least one showdown covered on Saturday and one on Sunday, along with covering the slates. So it's a fun time of year, and then we'll definitely go all out for the as we kind of move on here and get into the AFC NFC Championship. We'll have both those covered. Kind of as it whittles down here, and me and Geek will definitely have you guys' back for the Super Bowl as we get there. So tonight with the Seattle Seahawks, we are playing in Seattle. I believe. Let's look at it. I was just looking at the total lines, but let's see. Yep, we got the 49ers as 3-point favorites on the road. And over a 47, that number has gone up. And then just straight money line favorites at minus 175 for the 49ers. Which I know the Seahawks are hurt, but that's an interesting line for me. I don't mind the Seahawks side of the ball here. I absolutely do not think that the 49ers roll in this one. So I could be talked into, I hate betting money lines in football, but I don't mind the 49ers here, or the Seahawks here. So knowing that, let's take a little bit of look at where I'm at for my captains and MVPs right now. I've got Kittle as my core captain, Wilson, Garoppolo, Lockett, Samuel, and Sanders. Sanders really focusing on the passing game side of the ball here on DK. I just think that the power of the PPR is so huge here. I think that Kittle, he's going up against arguably the worst tight end defense in the NFL in the Seattle Seahawks. He's had just insane games, but he had 17 targets the other week. I don't think we're going to see that sort of target share, but I think 10 to 12 targets in this game, 7-8 receptions. I think we can easily see 100 yards and a TD here. I hate paying up for the top guy in this spot, but Kittle makes a ton of sense. If you got Kittle in your lineup, I think the way you sort of build that is you're going to have Kittle, Jimmy G. And then, I don't think you have to have a Russell Wilson. I like Wilson a lot tonight, but I think you could run like a Marshawn Lynch, Deebo Samuel. 2 pass catchers are fine. Tight end doesn't show up very often. I think it's like 5% in the captain spot, but Kittle is just so good. We project him for so much for the highest point total on the slate here. I really, really, really like him. And then kickers and kind of we'll talk about some of these duds that as we scroll down here towards the bottom that are definitely viable in lineups, which you're going to have to use if you're going to play a guy like George Kittle in the captain because he is the most expensive. Russell Wilson is probably my next favorite captain play. He, hasn't really put up a huge score since week 9 against Tampa Bay, but that's because they've really been focusing on the run. We've been seeing a lot of Chris Carson, Rashad Penny. Both those guys are out. All right, we'll talk about Marshawn Lynch and how I feel about him here in a second, but I really think that this, he hasn't thrown more than 40 times since week 9. I think he's only had 1 over 31 pass attempts since that point. So I really think that Wilson's going to be forced to throw the ball tonight. And I think that when he does that, he can put up a pretty big number. He has that rushing upside. He doesn't use it a ton. But I think he's sitting on potentially a very, very big day, especially when you consider that your running back stable of Travis Homer, Marshawn Lynch, and Robert Turbin, not that good. Like Wilson, I like Garoppolo a bit. I don't like him a ton. I think he's more of a FanDuel kind of hedge play for me. He just hasn't been that good. I think there's absolutely a scenario where Kittle goes for 120 yards and a touchdown, and Jimmy G throws for 200, 2 picks, and a TD. right? So they don't necessarily have to go hand in hand. It's just how you foresee this game playing. They're implied for what, like 25, 26 points. So how you build your lineups you can kind of tell that story. So let's say that you think that Jimmy G is going to have a terrible night, but Kittle's going to crush. That's not a lineup that a lot of guys are going to build. So, you can run a Kittle, Mostert, and then run it back with Wilson, maybe a Marshawn Lynch, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, something like that really makes you unique. And those are the sort of lineups that you need to make to win those big, huge $10 contests on DraftKings. Because most people, if they're going to play Kittle and the captain, what are they going to do? Kittle's going to be their first click. Their second click's automatically going to be Jimmy G. So differentiating yourself like that, I think is really interesting. And we've seen guys have huge days the last couple of weeks while Garoppolo has really done nothing. Sanders, huge day. Garoppolo, 12 points or something like that. Kittle, huge day. Garoppolo had like 9 points, right? Though we've seen this happen before. Where the receivers have a nice day while the quarterback really struggles. And Jimmy G has struggled turning the ball over lately. I didn't mention the one thing I really like about Wilson here tonight is that we do not have D Ford in the lineup. He is going to be out. We'll know a little bit more about inactives here in about an hour, but no D Ford, I think, really benefits Russell Wilson here tonight. Tyler Lockett, it's a game where Wilson needs to throw a ton, right? And who's he going to throw to? Could be Metcalf. Could be Lockett, could be David Moore, Jaron Brown, right? Jacob Hollister, I think, is in for a really good game. So, really any of these guys work here. If you want to get funky, go for it. I just think that, we saw Lockett have that 120-yard performance 2 weeks ago. Something like that where Russell targets him 10, 12 times. He could easily be the nuts captain, right? Now, I think on the opposite end, where I don't think you need necessarily Jimmy G with the receivers, with the way this game sets up for Seattle, I really do think like if Lockett is the captain, you're going to need Wilson in that lineup. Sanders and Samuel too. Samuel's been so consistent. He's my preferred play here. I think you could really cut this off after these four and feel good about it if you really want to try to handle every sort of all sorts of combinations. I think Samuel and Sanders both have potential. But if you want to push your chips in on saying like, hey, George Kittle's going to be the guy tonight, Sanders and Samuel's good plays, they don't have a chance. I'm fine with that. I think those are the sort of stands that you need to take. Sometimes I feel like we get these, we try to, in our showdown lineups, we try to cover every single possible scenario. And while 150 lineups feels like a lot, you don't have that potential, right? I think that sometimes we spread ourselves too thin. So in terms of our captain play. I'm a proponent of kind of cutting that pull down. I think these guys are fine. Sanders has been boomer bust. It feels like he gets 8 points for 4,000. I like him if he's going to, I think with both these guys, as opposed to like a Kittle, I think if they're going to have big days, if the receivers are balling out, it's probably likely that Jimmy G is too. So those are kind of where I'm at for captain. As we look down here, Mostert, he's the guy now, right? This is his squad. 5 straight weeks with a touchdown. DK Metcalf, guy I love a ton this week, just because he 0 last week, right? People are going to game log watchers. I think that we forget how many people that play DFS are game log watchers. They're going to go in and look and see, Metcalf 0. What the heck happened? No, they're not going to see the fact that he had, played 98% of the snaps and that nobody in this offense really did anything. So I like DK Metcalf in a bounce back spot here. Travis Homer. I'm gonna click over to the DK Sportsbook thing here in a second. Homer is priced up like he's the starter, and he is. I would imagine he plays the first series. All right, they're getting Marshawn Lynch the ball tonight. The rumor is around 10 to 15 touches. Okay, that's starter sort of play here. So if we looking for player props here, okay, 2 score. Let's just see 2 score. All right, Mostert 110. Kittle 135, Lockett 160, Metcalf 180, Homer plus 200, right? Marshawn Lynch plus 180. So Lynch has the better prop to score tonight. And that's, that should tell you something there. It's not a ton of value on it, but it's definitely interesting. If we scroll over to here, total rushing yards. Ooh, we're not getting a prop. So Homer's pretty heavy favorite to get over 38.5 rushing yards, though. That's definitely interesting. So I think you could, if you're going to follow the props, I think Homer maybe makes a better play than I had originally thought. But again, I just think at home, big game, they're giving Money Lynch the ball. Like, he's going to get it 10 to 15 times. I'll have some Homer. It's more of a hedge than anything. But I'm interested. Jacob Hollister. All right. Malik Turner's out. Okay. So our receiving core is Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, essentially. You got Jaron Brown and David Moore as kind of like your 3 wide receiver, that big play guys that are going to get 2-3 targets. I think Hollister is going to be in for a massive game here. He's going to be one of my favorite plays. I actually should almost change this to core because at 5,000, like, he makes so much work. I'm doing it. Yep. He is going to get a ton of volume. I want him in more lineups than I actually had originally thought, right? I'm talking myself into this. With those guys out, Hollister smashed these guys last time. I think he had 9 targets, 7 receptions, something like that. I don't mind him even in like a San Francisco heavy lineup. Say you got Kittle, Captain, Garoppolo, Sanders, Mostert. Throw Hollister in there with the turd, and you're feeling good about yourself there, because I think that he is going to smash this 5K price tag. I think that the defenses here today, I talk about both of them. I think that they're both in play. I actually like the Seahawks a little bit more because I think that Jimmy G turns the ball over more than Russell Wilson. Wilson's going to be throwing a ton, so we might see a pick here or there, but he's been just really, really efficient with the ball this year. No D4. They're not going to be able to pressure as much as they'd like. I just think that at 4,400, I'd much rather just pay down 1,000 for the Seahawks if I'm trying to bank on the touchdown here. The 49ers has been great. I absolutely understand that. But at home, Russell Wilson must win game, or not necessarily must win, but a game that they want to win. I'm definitely involved. So Marshawn Lynch, I talked about it. I love the TD prop here. The rumors that I've been seeing, I've been scouring Twitter all day. We're talking about 10 to 15 sort of touches. I think that he can smash. We have no idea what sort of shape he's in. We have no idea how much he's been playing or practicing or working out. I'm sure he's been eating Skittles, but like, the guy showed up in a car this week and now we're expecting him to beast. Like, I'm going to play him at 10 to 15%. I think he's going to score. I think I'm going to regret that I'm low on him. It's hard for me to swallow, especially against this run defense. Both kickers in play. Neither of them get a ton of opportunities. Gould has been very, very mediocre. I love the Seahawks D here. I wrote in there, I'm not in love with Seahawks D by any means, but I just love this spot in GPP because people aren't going to play him. So D versus your captain. Love it. Kittle. So I want Seahawks, especially those lineups where I'm playing Kittle in the captain, and I'm assuming that Jimmy G has a shitty day, right? Like, get the Seahawks in there. Salary saver. They get a pick 6, they're in the nuts. Guaranteed. And Jimmy G turns the ball over. 2 picks last week. So I definitely like them. Kendrick Bourne, number 3 receiver, number 5 option in this offense. Like, they just have so many weapons that it's hard to get behind him for a high percentage, but he's a big target. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. Like, they're going to look to him in the red zone. He could catch a tutty. Tevin Coleman, we were just paying like high-end starter salary for this guy, maybe 8 weeks ago. And now he's 2,600 in a showdown. The only way he gets any sort of relevance is if he finds a touchdown, or if Mostert gets hurt. So having some exposure here is fine. Similar to Lynch, Robert Turbin, like, we don't know. We don't know what he's been doing. We don't really know. I would think he gets some. I think that Lynch is the guy to own, but if you want to get, differentiate in GPP, I think that Turbin's fine. I'd rather play Juszczyk. I'm going to get him right at some point here. He's been pretty productive the last couple of weeks, 40% of the snaps, 2 targets a game, scored a short TD a couple weeks ago. I think he's worth having in your pool. I don't know if I'm building single entry or 3 max. He's not a guy I'm going to go out of my way to target, but he's definitely viable. David Moore and Jaron Brown both are going to get bumps here with Malik Turner out. How much they get? Moore's been playing about 18% of the snaps. Brown's been healthied, so he's going to get back in. They're both decent players. They both can score touchdowns, but they're not much more than turd exposure. Dante Pettis, complete dart throw if he's active. I just like the guys. He was drafted in like the 5th and 6th round of season longs this year, right? Like he's got tons of speed. He's got tons of talent. At some point he's going to do something, right? Like, so I don't know if you want to, I mean, you don't have to get anything, but 3%, I don't mind that out of 150. If we look at FD, I'm keeping it super tight at the top. Garoppolo, Wilson, Kittle, Mostert. I want lots of Wilson here. I just think that quarterback is king on FanDuel. We want lots of the quarterback who we think is going to score the highest amount of points. And according to our projections, that is Russell Wilson. I'm trying to think pretty much the same. I'd rather play pretty much any of these guys below here. But again, like that's what everybody's going to think. So if you play him and he's, what happens if Homer has the 2 touchdown game at 8%? Like that's entirely possible here, Definitely in play over there. Hollister 8K. Yeah, I gotta update this, right? I just think that he is in such a smash spot tonight. If we look at the super draft, our projections have been on fire on super draft, right? The only guy I'm maybe going away on is Jacob Hollister here. I think that he's a core champion play at 3.3 according. Our projections don't have him as high, but I'm definitely involved there. Jimmy G, our super draft projections really like the 2.25. Like their super draft is valuing Russell Wilson a ton here, and we get the discount on Jimmy G with that multiplier, right? In that champion spot of 0.75 more points than Russell Wilson. Cover. Why don't I have Mostert in my my DraftKings captain pool? Again, it's a little bit of a cross-site hedge, right? If I put him in there, he's 3,200. He'd be the cheapest guy here. But he's so I'm going to have more on FanDuel where I think that RBs are more valuable. But he's been the guy, but he's still not in on more than 50% of the snaps. So I just don't like rostering a guy that's only going to play 50% of the snaps because they're rolling through Breida and they're rolling through Coleman and whoever else they've got in the lineup. So that's kind of my thought process on it. You can do whatever you want. That's where I'm at. Let's see. Anybody talking to me on StreamYard? I don't think so. Well, there's people watching though. There is comments. Here we go. Sorry, I'm not like geek. I don't have like 2 screens here. I'm not super rich and live in New York. In fact, it's like we got like a foot of snow today. Insane. So Hawks get smashed. See, like, hey, dude, if that's what you feel like, then fucking run it, right? Like run those 5-and-1s, the Kittle, and then throw in Hollister or somebody like that you think is gonna have a day. Sanders or Debo? It's Debo for me. FanDuel, yeah, like, so talk about FanDuel a little bit. Like I said, it's RB or QB for me. So if I'm putting Wilson there, I'm going to have Hollister. I'm going to have Lockett. I'm going to run it back with maybe a kicker or somebody cheap on the other side, right? I really like these like 4-1, 3-2 stacks. I mean, that's the only options you have on FanDuel, but I really like a 4-1, like all-in stack on a side over on FanDuel. Do we have a projection in there for Marshawn? We should. Yeah, so we have him projected at 7.34. That's 5 points less than Homer. I personally feel that he'll have a better day. Apparently, so does Vegas. Yeah, I like Wilson over Jimmy G for sure. Yeah, so let's take a look here. I want to let's look at total passing yards. Wilson is pretty heavy favorite to be under 239. Player to score in team. Total TD passes. We got Wilson. Over 1.5 at -134, right? What's Jimmy G? Over 1.5 at +100. So what's this tell us? That Wilson is, according to Vegas odds right now, Wilson is the smash play here in terms of fantasy points. Touchdown scorer, do I get a Wilson touchdown? plus 500. I don't mind that. Is there any game props? Passing yards, interceptions, rush yards, receiving yards, right? Let's see what they got. Any value sticking out here? They got Lockett under 59.5, so that's interesting. Hollister over 35.5, right? I love seeing that. Kittle over 70. Huge favorite, right? Minus 135. Smash Kittle tonight in that captain spot. And smash Kittle in that captain spot without what's his face? Without Garoppolo, right? Total fantasy points scored under 19.5. About the same. Homer, you get minus 110 or minus 112 for under 10.5. Hollister, nothing that really sticks out here. If you're not looking at these game props and player props, right? I definitely think that this should be a part of we do have the site or on site over at the Beat the Bookie side, but it's definitely something that you should be looking at. All right. I got to go make my kids dinner. Any 5K player oh man, like you can't go that low. Like David Moore, Jaron Brown, that's as low as I'm going to go for 5,500. Seahawks player I can trust other than Wilson, and it's Hollister for sure. 8K. That's my guy. So, all right. That's what I got for tonight. Hit me up in Slack if you got any questions. We'll get you there. I added the ticker on the bottom here. I don't think Geek does that, right? Like fancy. I'm learning this StreamYard stuff. So, yeah, hit me up. I'll be around. Hopefully I don't get toppled by snow today. And we'll have a good game tonight. And hopefully somebody takes home the big bucks. All right. Cheers, boys.